My name is Shlomo Ben-Hur, and I'm a social psychologist and a professor of leadership and organizational behavior at the IMD Business School in Switzerland. I would like to invite you to join me on a learning journey to the startup nation, Israel. According to The Economist, Israel has more high-tech startups and a larger venture capital industry per capita than any other country in the world. It is the country with the second largest number of NASDAQ-traded companies, and it is number one in the rate of per capita research and development spending. As a result of these developments, Israel is now the home of around 350 research and development centers of the world's most known multinational companies. And it has seen billion-dollar exits by companies like Waze, Mobileye, and M-Systems. There's a number of theories why this specific country that was only established in 1948 has very limited natural resources and is situated in a very fragile geopolitical situation has turned into a world leader in startup growth. Some people would argue that it has to do with its religious background. Others would argue that it has to do with the culture. Many would argue that it has to do with the military service that all men and women go through and what it is that translates into the civil part of the society. And others would argue that it has to do with the massive immigration that constitutes this country, the fact that it is composed of people who left everything behind and were ready to start anew and take risks.
In our culture, we are trying to challenge all the time the obvious, and that's the idea of a startup. I know to do something different, or I can do it better.
There are many people in Israeli startups that have military background as officers or elite units. I was a pilot in the Air Force, and they give you the kind of education that makes you take decisions by yourself.
The future is also very present here, in the bustling Tel Aviv metropolis with its beautiful beaches along the Mediterranean, and the Bauhaus architecture which granted it a World Heritage designation as the White City. But this is true for all other parts of the country, including Jerusalem, where startups and accelerators have sprung up everywhere around the city, including in the Machne Yehuda market, where Mass Challenge has established a base outside the United States.
If you're a small startup that's just starting and you want to access this incredible wealth of multinationals, you can do it relatively easily and relatively informally and with relatively small distances here in Israel in a way that you can't do anywhere else around the world.
Throughout our visit, we would look at Israel not as a destination, but as a fascinating backdrop to allow us a critical evaluation of issues such as diversity, innovation, entrepreneurial culture, and leadership. And we would study their impact on organizations' ability to innovate quickly, reliably, and effectively in order to achieve profitable growth. Thanks to IMD's extensive network in the country and our alumni group, we're going to be meeting with a number of government officials who are going to be discussing some of the governmental initiatives that are at the core of this ecosystem. We would also be visiting some of the universities and the research institutions that are behind the research that has taken place. And we will be meeting with high-profile Israeli business figures. On day trips to Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, we're going to be visiting some of the leading technology companies, a number of startups, and we would also meet some people in accelerators and venture capital companies that are responsible for turning the ideas into action. In areas such as cybersecurity and beyond, we're going to be meeting with a number of representatives from the Israeli army.
So what was in both kinetic and cybernetic dimensions Israel programs is turning to be, at least in the cybernetic world, a global issue.
The importance and challenges of leading a diverse workforce are going to be surfacing through discussions we're going to have with leaders of the ultra-Orthodox Jewish community, the Israeli Arab entrepreneurial scene, and educational initiatives of women and minorities. The latest startup that I was exposed to in the Startup Nation is the startup of Women Waging Peace. Thousands of Israeli and Palestinian women from all backgrounds, Jewish, Christians, and Muslim, who are coming together to argue that women need to push for a settlement in this war-torn region of the world. Israel has certainly not resolved some of the issues and the big dilemmas that our world and companies are dealing with. but it's definitely wrestling with a lot of them. And it will provide us with a lot of food for thought to think about the issues that your companies and businesses are dealing with and with your own very leadership. I look forward to welcoming you in person in Israel.